Welcome back, everyone. So yesterday we saw another game go to penalties, and it was Morocco who came out on top, beating the Netherlands 3-2 in those penalties. And our friends at Sofascore have given us the stats from this game. So Morocco dominated much of that game, probably showing boys that they deserved to win that game. Would you agree, so?
Yeah, I think so. I think the momentum chart at the bottom there kind of proves it, but the eye test also proved it, right? Watching this, Morocco, I thought of the two teams was the fearless team, right? It didn't matter to them that the occasion was a knockout round. They just did what Morocco does, and they go and attack, and they keep coming at you. I was really surprised, Chuck, about the Netherlands and maybe the lack of willingness, if you will, to get forward and really get in the attack.
Yeah, I thought it was an entertaining matchup with Mickey van de Ven and Hakimi, just in terms of pace. So putting Mickey van de Ven as that left wing back was smart in a way, because he's the only player on that Dutch side that could really keep up with Hakimi in terms of pace and neutralize him a little bit, which for me was quite smart. But ultimately, Morocco showed their quality. I mean, how many times did we see Bouhaddi get on the ball and Morocco play through a half-hearted Dutch press in a lot of cases? I was surprised at the intensity from the Netherlands in this game to allow Morocco to just dictate the tempo and keep possession. Yeah,
this is what Moroccan head coach had to say after the game. Yes, Morocco has gained everybody's respect now. It's not because of what we've said, we've now shown it. There are many positive aspects. We see the young players, the more experienced ones. We have teams across all age groups that are of high standards. So, Jimmy, this was Morocco's third knockout stage win since that 2022 World Cup. Before that World Cup, they'd had no wins in the knockout stages. Do you think Morocco have now solidified themselves as one of the world's best?
Yeah, no question. I think what's interesting is that it feels like we're still talking about how the Netherlands failed as opposed to Morocco succeeding, right? They deserve a ton of credit. The Brazil game, they should have beaten Brazil. They actually outplayed Brazil. They were more Brazilian than the Brazilians when we look at like traditional identity. Then they eke past Scotland 1-0. They get a lot of criticism for not scoring more goals because they have so much talent, and I agree with that. They should have scored more. The Haiti game, they go down, and they find their way back into it and score 4-2, and then they have like a different style. What I really appreciate is that each game was a little bit different, had a different personality, and they still found a way to have success. So this is a Morocco team that is very difficult to beat, that trusts their identity, and as our coach mentioned, they have a lot of depth and a lot of young talent because of all the success they've had at all these other levels, winning the Olympics, winning the U20 World Cup. This is just, it's a good time for Moroccan football, and it's really exciting to see. And this is just evidence that they are a force to be reckoned with moving forward.
I think one of the reasons we may talk about the Netherlands first instead of Morocco is because what we saw from Morocco, we expected, right? We all came into this expecting Morocco to be a good side. We didn't know that this would be the matchup in the round of 32. That's just how it played out. I don't think we expected what we saw from the Netherlands. And because as much as we think of now Morocco being an attacking side, a team that goes forward, the history of the Netherlands says this is a team, this is total football. Like, that's the history that we all have of the game. This is not that team, but that's what we think about. So we don't see the Spains or the Brazils or the Netherlands teams, the Dutch teams look the same. That's why it becomes such a conversation. I was shocked yesterday on how this team looks scared to play and get forward. The substitutions that Koeman made looked at, just yelled to me that I'm afraid to attack. I don't want to put any of these attacking players on. And I think that's why maybe we started the discussion there. But Morocco, I mean, some people have had Morocco to go to a semifinal before the tournament even started, right? I actually picked the Netherlands in this one. It was one of the toughest ones I thought to pick in the bracket.
I think just perception, to your point, Tony, when you think about the Netherlands and this Dutch side, you talk about the names. Look at the spine. Van Dijk, Virgil van Dijk, I mean, is maybe as prominent as he once was. He's still a top defender in world football. Then you have Frankie de Jong and Gravenberch in the midfield. You're saying, okay, this Dutch team is going to keep possession. Frankie de Jong at Barcelona, he's that guy who can float between the lines and keep the ball moving. So when you're thinking about, okay, they're always going to find an outlet. They're going to win the ball back and keep possession. And then I look at Hakpo and Somerville. They're great in transition. But this Moroccan side neutralized, and so much so that The Netherlands said, let's just be more defensive minded and protect the back four, which was the back three, which was shocking to me because this Dutch side was completely outplayed. And to your point, Morocco, maybe on paper, they don't have the big names yet, but the players on this team will be big names. There's no doubt about it.
I think what's interesting to talk about the Dutch a little bit, I know we're looking at some scenes from Morocco, and rightly deserved here. The Dutch started with 4 center backs and then Dumfries. So they basically went with a back 5, which is so un-Dutch-like, right? For them to be that defensive. They should be on the front foot, dictating the tempo. When they took off Nathan Ake and put on Wout Weghorst, they just bypassed the midfield. Then they started playing direct. That's how they scored their goal. So it did work in some ways, but it just doesn't feel, this is not the Dutch team. There's no romanticism around this team. They're just very workmanlike and maybe lacks some of that luster that we had seen in the past. And that's just what we identify with because they've been so good in previous iterations.
Yeah, well, it was Netherlands' earliest exit in World Cup history, so I think that kind of speaks for itself. The winner of this game now, Morocco, are going to be facing potentially France if they were to win their game against Sweden today. And they came up against France in the 2022 World Cup, lost against them in the semi-finals 2-0. But do you think now Morocco has kind of closed the gap between themselves and France?
100%.
Yeah.
Now, this is a Moroccan side that is so young that really is similar to us in the 2022 World Cup, the U.S. men's national team, gain experience. Now, this is a team that got to the semifinals in 2022, but it's a young team. They want their best Moroccan side for the next World Cup, which would be on home soil, right? They're co-hosting that World Cup. But I might argue that this team's going to push France to the brink. Now, they were completely outplayed in the 2022 World Cup. They lost 2-0 in that semifinal, but it was almost like you went through a gauntlet. You got through Portugal, you got through Spain, you got to a semifinal versus France. You've won as an African side. But now they are pushing, I think, the limit on what they could really achieve in terms of belief. So I'm so happy to see this Moroccan side keep pushing. And when we talk about some of the young stars that they have, it's just a phenomenal team to watch.
Yeah, Morocco would have to beat Canada to then eventually reach France. I didn't see that in the bracket. You talk about how young this side is, though. They're the 3rd youngest team in the tournament. Do you think them pushing to get to the semis or even potentially the final for this year is just, they kind of would have to wait a bit longer till 2030?
Yet again, as you saw, another tough path, right?
Yeah.
Charlie just mapped out what happened a couple of years ago. France is going to be the obstacle. I think we all kind of agree France might be a step ahead of everybody, but I don't know that we'd be so surprised, right, if Morocco had a game where they beat France. But I think you're seeing a nation that's growing. Jimmy touched on it earlier, and I think we should maybe emphasize it. They're doing something right within. Yeah. We just talked about Germany, how everything is kind of falling apart. Well, this is the polar opposite of it, right? You said under 20s, world champions, Olympics, world champions, 22 semifinalists. Like, this is the trajectory of their national team right now. So maybe we should start looking at a footprint of what they're doing.
Start studying Moroccan football.
Start studying it. Yeah, I mean, the league is actually, it's a tough league to play in. It's a league where you get hardened really, really quick. Although a lot of these players play outside of the league, there are some that play in the league. They develop players there. They've done a really good job of recruiting. If you look at, dual nationals, we have this struggle all the time in the U.S. Mexico does the same thing. There's a bunch of teams that do it, but they're seemingly doing it better than anyone right now.
Yeah, and their head coach, Mohamed Ouahbi, he's only coached 9 games under them, Jimmy, so it's very impressive.
Yeah, he comes in, though, with youth national team experience and knowing the player pool, which we've seen with Luis de la Fuente with Spain, right? He came in, he took over before the Euros, they go on to win it. He just had a familiarity with the player pool, maybe a bit of a player whisper. There's a bit of a trust that already existed between him and the younger players in particular. You saw him bring on a ton of young players last night against the Netherlands. I mean, he took off Brahim Diaz. I was like, what is he doing taking off Brahim Diaz? That's your best chance creator, or one of your best chance creators. Puts on some younger players who were really bright and had a ton of confidence and belief and were driving at this Netherlands defense. And so, yeah, I'm really impressed. And I think that trust just builds their depth in a way where we all have said here on the show many times that you're going to have to be pretty deep to win this competition. And I feel like from what I saw last night, Morocco's got 17, 18, 19 guys that they can trust at any moment.
Yeah, you think about the story they've had since 2022. It's been an incredible one.